Hey guys, it's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along for this live stream, though there's 0 people watching right now. But hey, you know what? It's Christmas, and I would not expect a lot of people to be watching this because it's Christmas in Australia. And being one of the first major countries to be hitting Christmas, the rest of the world is still catching up. It's Christmas Eve in a lot of places, and it's actually quite early. It's 9:30 in Australia right now, which means a lot of people are probably still sleeping or they're having family time, which is fantastic. Earlier, my wife and I had given a few things to my daughter and she unwrapped them and played with them. So at the moment, she's actually sitting there watching a bit of Fireman Sam. So, oh, hey, how's it going, Ghastly Jeebus and Nagolski and Tenzganzetsu? 8:30 for Queenslanders. Yes, indeed. Daylight savings, always good to have. I very much remember being in Queensland, living in Queensland, growing up in Queensland. So it always sucks having daylight savings, especially if you're traveling for work. Now, what is actually happening today in stream is that I will be opening a box which I got from Secret Santa from our mechanical keyboards on Reddit, and I will be building a XD75 kit that mitenolet has passed along to me to help him build. So that'll be kind of exciting, but I do want to say, of course, Merry Christmas, Happy Festivus, whatever holiday season that you participate in. I hope you have a really fantastic day today, and of course, if you do have to, yes, I know it's you, Jolly Green Giant, I can just never pronounce your YouTube name. Nobody else uses it. But if you do drop off stream because you've got to go and everything else and I don't get to finish, I want to say have a safe and happy period during this festive and New Year's period. Don't drink too much. Be careful when you drive. And of course, above all and everything else, be good to each other. Okay? And take care. So now I'll get into a bit more detail about that XD75, but you'll get to see it anyway, Raymond, so don't worry about that. And let's get onto the desktop and actually see what is going on here. Okay, so I kind of showed this, I think, a couple of weeks back when I got it. It says, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas. It's got some pretty cool artwork, and what this is, and it even says don't open till Christmas, it's an RMK Secret Santa gift courtesy from the Van Keyboards. So I had actually magically drew Evan from the Van Keyboards for Secret Santa. So that was actually really cool. And this turned up and he had said don't open it till Christmas. So I promised that I wouldn't. So here we go. I kind of feel bad for my Secret Santa recipient because I had got them something from Z Frontier and they haven't even shipped it yet. So I've reached out to them and I've said, look, if it doesn't ship by the middle of January, because it's a custom order, let me know because I will send you something else just to make up for the fact that it was so late. So you know who you are because I've contacted you now, and you know my name because I've actually told you my name now because I want to be fully open and transparent about what's happened to your Secret Santa gift, because obviously, you know, I don't want to be banned from future Secret Santas. Yeah, it's really not a big deal. I don't know if they're likely to see the stream or not, but if you listen to our podcast a few weeks back, Kevin and I had talked about a particular key set that was really cool because you could custom order it, and that's actually what I got them because their wish list for Secret Santa was actually key set. So, alright, now I'm going to just crack this open and look at it front on in case there's anything that shouldn't be on stream. But of course, it's from the Van Keyboard, so I don't expect it to be too bad. Ooh. It was rattly, and now I know why it was rattly, because, dum dum dum, it's a key set! I don't know what it is yet, but it's plastic wrapped, it's cherry profile, and it's GMK paper pusher. That's really cool. GMK paper pusher set, 52 pieces. I don't even recall what paper pusher set was, but you know what? That's okay, because this is only the third set that I have properly. And you know what? This is really cool, and I want to say thank you, Evan. I really appreciate you sending this, because this is my first official GMK key set as well. All right, so that's really, really cool. The fact that it's a 52 piece tells me it's for like a 50% keyboard, which I don't actually really have, but that's okay, because okay, so I thought that was it, and there would be more pieces for the rest of the key set, and then I've just realized there's a keyboard down here with switches. Holy crap. Okay, Evan, you have completely outdone yourself, because I did not expect that at all. Okay, so it's 50 pieces. They're purples. Well, they're not box switches, but someone will have to help me identify what these purple switches are. GPG 15110 1D252s. Right, and Nagolsky 40% kit. I hadn't really thought about the weight of it, because I don't really pay attention. Not that I'm saying I'm super strong or anything like that, but it looks like it's a van. It's a minivan. Because I think at the time that he sent it, the Kumo wasn't ready, so it shouldn't be a Kumo. But you know what? This is amazing, absolutely amazing. And this tape is defeating me. If only Evan was actually here in the stream, and if he is, you can stop lurking and say hello, because you're an absolutely amazing dude. Kale Purple Pro? Okay, it could be. It could be. I'm not very familiar with their Pro series, so it very well could be a Purple Pro. And as for a 40% kit, you guys will have to help me identify this. Alright. Wow. This is... You know what's also really cool? This is the first custom board that I own now as well. The first aluminium custom. Everything else that I have reviewed, played with, had a chance to touch and check out has not been my own. So this is an absolutely amazing board for me to be able to have. And I believe it's a minivan because it's got that. It's got cork feet on it. It's got a good amount of solidness and feel to it. Let's just move that out of the way. Now it's got a cable, a USB-C cable. We've got, is it stainless? It feels like it. It feels like stainless, and it's even got dampening. Oh, better not mess them up. Some dampening sheets there. There's the PCB. Let's see what the actual PCB. Minivan round 1. YD40BL, I guess, is what Martin is saying. And Jolly Green Giant saying has never heard of GMK Paper Pusher. Well, you know what? Neither have I. Wait. This is hot swap too. Smokes. Wow. Okay, so this has got the Kale hot swaps already installed in it. This is insane. Absolutely insane. And I can't actually get the PCB out because it's like riveted to the bottom. So there's these stud mounts, these plastic rivets that are actually holding the PCB already to the bottom of this case. What is this? This is crazy. Look how wide my eyes are. I'm lost. I'm just as lost as you are, Martin. So this is really cool. But you know what? We can actually build this right now on stream because I don't have to solder anything, but of course I've got my soldering stuff anyway. And we can plug it in and we can fill it. There's no etching on this. I cannot tell you what this possibly is called because there's nothing on it. Even the PCB doesn't say anything on it. Is this like a proto Kumo? An elite Kumo? Merry Christmas, Victor. Thanks very much for coming on and checking out this stream. If you've just come in, we've discovered that Evan from the Van Keyboards has just done something absolutely amazingly insane, which is provide this keyboard kit. And you know what? It very well could be a Kumo, a prototype Kumo. The PCB is very plain. There's nothing spectacular about it. It looks like it's been potentially factory soldered anyway because it's got that leftover flux residue, which I suppose could be, and it's very clean for home soldered. Now my keyboard's floating up here, so I'm just gonna quickly check out if I can in another tab window if it is actually a Kumo. Let me see. Kumo Kickstarter. Rightio. Let's have a look. Is it the layout for a Kumo? We've got 1, 2, 3 split space. 1, 2, 3, 4. This actually could be. It really could be. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1 big. 1 split. No, I don't think it is because it's missing what's happening on this side. Because on the Kumo, you've got 3 arrow keys down here, and then you've got an up arrow key, another key, and then there should be 2 over here before it gets onto the split. So it's definitely not going to be a Kumo. It could be a minivan of some kind, I reckon. Of course, the only person that will truly know is Evan himself, which I don't know if anyone could be. It doesn't look like it's a minivan. What else is in the Van Keyboards collection? What else is in the Van's Keyboards collection? Okay, so paper pusher. Now let me just drag this window out and we can have a look at this kind of quickly. Where is it? Right monitor. There we go. Okay, so that's paper pusher, which is what's ended up here, which is this beautiful GMK set by the looks of it. Yep. So let's go back and it's definitely not minivan. It's not the rack mount. Is this? I'm so confused. This must be some kind of other thing. You know what? I'm just going to call it a mystery prototype. because it really is at the moment. Because it's on this keyboard. Am I seeing it right? Yeah, I think it must be a 1, 2, 3 Kumo split. No, it could be a Kumo. It could be a Kumo. 1, 2, 3. I think it might be a Kumo. Let me check. Is that the same as a minivan? 1, 2, 3 split. 1, 2, 3. Boop, boop. Okay, so it doesn't match a minivan Rev 3 PCB because that's actually not the same. Well, it might be a Kumo. Right, let's just close that window. Carefully not to close everything else. Whoa, my bad. I've still got everything going on that monitor. There we go. You get to see what I've got running when I'm live streaming over there. So, right. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name, but the gentleman with the acrylic. Hi man, love your PCB building tutorials. Thank you. No, thank you very much for checking out my videos. I really appreciate that. Raymond Jolly Green Giant says it's a minivan because the holes match on the minivan. Picture is PCB upside down. Kumo PCB in a van case. Is there a difference between minivan and Kumo? Possibly, only the hot swap and case material. All right. So. Let us then quickly build this baby, because I feel like the amount of effort and value that Evan has actually sent me here really deserves it. Let's start with, well, I can't get the PCB out because we can't even check the back of that. So let's just get these two layers in. Some dampening happening here. Now, I don't lube stabilizers and switches normally. My only concern is, see how there's that material there? It's actually sitting on top of the RGBs, and I'm kind of concerned because that is a fire hazard. So I don't know if this is just simply there for packing purposes. I'm going to carefully put that away, because that's really not a good idea at all, because those things get hot. Those RGBs get so hot that it actually causes anodization to fade. That's how hot LEDs can get. So instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to go straight through, because it's hot swap. I can take all of these out anyway, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Right, so the orientation. Now, I discovered something really interesting this week, by the way, in that there's been people talking about north and south switches being the perfect orientation, and a south. So what I'm talking about is that a north orientated switch is that the LED portion is on the north side, like what the switch position is right now, and a south switch position is this way, where the LED portion is on the bottom. And this relates to cherry profile keycaps actually hitting the housing and not getting the right clearance. And there's been some people who've done some testing and experimentation where they've cut keycaps in half, and it shows that it actually contacts the housing if you have the orientation the wrong way round. So that's really, really interesting. And looking at this actually has the switches mounted in a north orientation. So, and the fact that these are GMK keycaps means potentially they might actually have some issues if you had LEDs, but there's no LEDs natively on that PCB anyway, so it's less of an issue. Hey, Joshua Weber, thank you very much for coming out and checking the stream. Right, so 5-volt LEDs get that hot? Yeah, they can get quite warm. And you never want to have excess heat where there's nowhere for it to go. Now, noting that this is a all metal case, it still doesn't matter, because if you have an insulating material, it prevents the actual heat from getting out. So that's why I'd be a little bit concerned about putting those layers directly on top of those RGBs. So let's just get some of these switches into where they should fit, and then try and gently, because I want them to be stabilized before I try and fit the rest in, and hopefully I'll be able to drop this in and they'll be able to get into their homes without bending their pins. Okay, maybe not. Whoa. So those pins are all, they're all straight. Hey Joshua, yeah, so this kit courtesy of the Van Keyboards, is actually my Secret Santa gift. It's we think it's a minivan or Kumo. There we go. So, and it came with a GMK keyset called Paper Pusher, which is also available on the van keyboards. Very, very nice. I can always do plateless, yes, but the plate's here, and you know, if you want it to be in its full glory, we really should put it in. And I've just noticed that the actual plate also has slots to let that light pass through from those 3 RGB LEDs. So it doesn't make sense to put those these padding layers in, because that's going to obscure that light coming through as well. Kumo van. That's actually a really good name for a hybrid for this. The Kumo van. Alright, now I always worry about hot swaps, because if your pins aren't straight and perfect when they go in, they can go horribly wrong. So if you're coming to check out this stream because I'm going to be building an XD75, you haven't come to the wrong place. I will still be doing that. But if you are like, why is he putting together a 40%? It's because this is the Secret Santa gift that I got courtesy of the van keyboards. So Evan from the van has been super generous in providing this kit to me. And as I said earlier, it's my first ever, I suppose, CNC'd custom. Which, you know, the cool part about this is, I use a laptop for work, and I can't take my full-size keyboard around. My full-size keyboard at work at the moment is my down bubble, which is a full-size 3D printed split keyboard layout with a numpad in the middle that's rotated, and it's just not feasible for me to carry it around. Even though this weighs quite a bit, this actually is feasible for me to carry around. So I could take this and actually use it for work when I take my laptop, because, you know, being a keyboard snob, I really don't like having to type with the standard keyboard on the laptop when I actually have to cart it around. So this is perfect for that. I think the only thing that's challenging with doing this kind of build is putting the plates in afterwards means it depresses the plate, even though this is quite a stiff plate. So my trick is using an Allen key. You can just get that in, and you can use that to pull and lift the plate to make sure it latches in correctly, because just then I heard a little bit of a click, so it hadn't seated against the switches fully. So what are you guys getting up to for Christmas around the world, wherever you are? Okay, so it could be a minivan round 2. Shady Benchai, thank you very much for joining. Yeah, it looks like it could be a minivan round 2 rather than a Kubo, is what Jolly Green Giant has deduced. The worst part is, when you put these in, if you don't get them in right, even though they feel like the pins have gone into the hot swap, until you test it, you just don't know. And then if you pull it out and the pins are bent, oh boy, it'll be so much harder to straighten them perfectly to go back into those hot swaps. So, not that I'm knocking hot swaps, but it's always one of those things that plays in the back of my mind, if they're going in right or not. So Victor says he got a shift at work where he's watching from. I hope it's nice and quiet for you, at least. Then you can chill out and enjoy a shift low effort. Nagolski said he bought himself a duck. So what kind of duck keyboard did you get? And Joshua says he got a DZ60. Oh yeah. I've been hearing people talk about the DZ60 recently at work. Not work, on Discord. Okay. Looking forward to some fancy colored acrylic to make a sandwich case. What are you building using an acrylic sandwich case? Lightsaber V3. Okay. This is really unusual because of the plastic rivets that have gone into this as well. So if anyone actually knows about that part, because I don't think I remember seeing stuff that was riveted natively. It could just be because this was, you know, experimental or prototyping, but not many other kits come out with the PCB already riveted to the case. That's what kind of really threw me off. So Martin's looking at a new Mini as a best option. HHKB Kumo van could be a sexier option. I'm not a blocker type HHKB user natively. Like, I don't mind the layout, but I'm so old school that I have the control pinky. So going to HHKB takes a little bit of adjustment for me. And Raymond's getting a Melody 96 for work. So the Melody 96 is was it like the YMD 96, but just the more upmarket version, because they had that really the budget 96 key, right? Wasn't that what they had? Joshua, well, KiCad tutorials, I found them to be challenging to make to start with, and I wanted to be able to produce something that could help people sort of see what the actual process was. Now, Rui Ki Mao's guide is fantastic, because that's the guide that I learned to use myself to build PCBs, but some of those steps are possibly a little bit outdated, especially with the footprint related information, and it didn't really account for how to use Pro Micro / daughter boards, because it was natively written for onboard MCUs. So I'm really happy to hear that you've been able to make use of that guide to make some PCBs, and yeah, hopefully the PCBs that you've made, put together, have been really, really good. Oh, that, I don't know if that one went in properly or not, but we'll find out when I actually test it. Okay, is it easy to reverse engineer Gerber files? So if you get the Gerber file, the only reason why I pause is now that I hit the bottom row, some of these with multiple footprints, I actually don't know what I'm doing with them. So let's just put in the ones that have single footprints, and then we can figure out the rest. Okay, so that one's got a left print. But then that obscures that. So then in order to do that one, you've got a right print. So I guess I'm going with the arrow keys down there. And then not quite sure what's happening on this one, because I think that one's going to give you one sizing, whereas if you flip it around to the other side, it'll give you a different sizing. This is where I'm getting a little bit not sure about the keycap sizing. So maybe let's just break out the key set, and then yeah, I did put in an arrow config because that center line matches up to the arrows there, but I'm not sure which size fits on that. So let's crack this open. So reversing, going back to the question about reversing a Gerber, oh crap, is if the Gerber file is all there and it's a packet that's full of all the zips, all the actual individual layer files from KiCad, then yeah, you can actually open it up and see their schematic. Well, I just dropped the whole packet. Hopefully none of them disappeared. So technically, you should be able to reverse engineer it because you'll have the actual PCB file, and it'll show you the rat's nest that you can go back and check against and build a schematic from. So I'm not going to say that it's impossible. It's just going to be a little bit time consuming. So that was a live stream fail right there. I'm glad I can be entertaining for Christmas. At least there's only 52 keys. It's like playing 52 pickup with a deck of cards, right? This is the first GMK set I've ever had. I'm obviously way too excited, and I done goofed. Okay, so let's put in the keycaps that I know I kind of have. So that'll be ASDF. Come on, why you not going? There we go. I don't think I've got Cal Pro Purples, so it's a nice tactile bump there. Let's have a look at, well, let's have a hear of that. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. All right, so that's the down arrow. I probably need some kind of reference on what I'm actually doing with these, by the way, because I'm making assumptions that I actually don't know. You know what's really funny? I went to type the web address on the keyboard that's not even built or plugged in. Oh gosh. I'm just so with it right now. All right. Okay. So natively the escape key. So there's two versions of escape. There's blue, and then there's the yellow. All right. So let's go with the yellow. There's also a grey one, but that's all right. We'll do some color accents. So that'll be. This is really interesting because it gives you a variety of options on how you want to use this layout. But that'll be my shift key, and we've got my tab. Okay, so that'll be a menu key of some kind there. Okay, so that reckons it'll be a control key of some kind. So that's got to be. Does that fit that way? Yeah, that lines up, which is good. What's fancier? Because it was a 100 main paper pusher or this keyboard. So Jolly Greens just said something about something being fancy because less of them were made. There's another menu. So I need to find my arrow keys, I think. That'll help. I'm not even sure what some of these icons are. So that'll be a bit of a challenge. The key set. Okay. And apparently the poster. Well, poster didn't come with this. Not that I'm complaining. So maybe this was like a leftover from the run. Or he just had a lot of extras and felt like moving them on. So he wasn't cluttering. Man, the people who have keyboard vendor businesses and shops from home, like, I already have so much keyboard stuff here. It's freaking everywhere, right? It's all over my desk. It's in half of my wife's art drawers. It's on top of the drawers. It's in the bedroom. It's in the hallway. It's under the bed where I've got storage. Like, and I don't even run a shop. I'm just thinking, like, what must it look like and be like for those who do run a shop? I've seen pictures of Laser Ninja's home where he's got like a table in sort of the dining living room kind of area, and it's just covered with stuff from laser cut stuff. Like, I've seen pictures from Kibyo where they've had boxes, mail day stuff come in, and his kids like helping out packing stuff. So it's just crazy to think, especially if you have a high volume of things, how much space and chaos it must be to actually have everything and look after it and maintain it. So Victor asks, because the 68 key IO has Gobas for free but don't want to use a daughter board, rather an SMD microcontroller. Right, so you can do that. I can tell you right now, you can definitely do it, but it's going to take, it'll be time and effort. But it's well worthwhile doing that if you want that unique design. And there's no issue with it, I guess, as long as when you finish your build of that and modification of that, you attribute, of course, the original design and files to the original makers of that particular PCB. Of course, that's very important to acknowledge those that came before you and made things available, because if you don't, then that's, I wouldn't say it's IP theft, but it's just not, it's not cool. Like, they've made it free available, but some people don't see it that way, and I personally think that's a pretty sort of scummy move to take. Now, I use quotation marks a lot, and not having quotation marks would make this interesting. Of course, I'd have to learn how to use layers, and I'm not very much of a layers person, so I'll have to learn how to do that too. So we're getting there. We're narrowing down the number of switches that are left. I need more keyboards. Reprogram semicolon. The thing is, I do use semicolon as well when I write, so that's a challenge too. Okay, so if we follow the actual default layout, because that's what it looks like it can do, let's go with a bit of color accent here. Let's go with the blue. And then let's go with the yellow. They feel more sluggish with the stabilizers, that's for sure, compared to without the stabilizers on the actual switches by default. So that's just one thought. I don't know if these are genuine Cherry stabilizers or not. They definitely don't return back up and contact the switch like the native switches do. So that's just something to be aware of. Now, of course, if I want to change up punctuation, because question mark is also really important, shift up might be a question mark for me in the future. Okay, so the native format is going to be that. So that will probably be a middle formation. So let's try that. Will that fit? Yep. Okay, and then diamond key, which is going to have a bit of a gap. Now, I actually don't know how this is programmed either. I'm assuming it's QMK compatible. Okay, so there's a little bit of a gap there, which is not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Okay, and then on this side, which will be either way, I guess. It shouldn't really matter, maybe. Let's go with a gamble and run it this side. There we go. Okay, there you have it. And we've got, of course, a couple of keycaps left over, and that's nice. Yeah, there's a bit of gappage, but you know what? For something that's got a high amount of versatility, I think these are the same size. Okay, so we're looking at, what's that? 37 mil. 37 mil. Ah, okay. So that's 41. And that's 37. So if you wanted to run an accent, that's where you're going to run into problems, because this one is longer. No more gap. Right, so you're only really going to get one accent if you want to have that happen, which it's an interesting choice. It is an interesting choice. I just don't know what it's actually. I would have preferred had they gone with being able to have dual accent, because I've already got dual accent here, and they've provided me the option to do any of those, but what can I say? Now I'm assuming that's a caps lock. No, that's a caps lock. What's that symbol? Anyone tell me what that is? So Raymond's saying, are you left thumb spacebar or right thumb spacebar? I'm definitely left thumb, so yeah. Mac option. Right, okay. I thought that was more of a Mac symbol, that diamond as well. Okay, now I'm going to put these into the bag with the remaining switches, which is cool, because if I don't have a Pro Purple, I'm going to add that to my switch collection later. Let's plug it in. Let's get Elite switch header happening as well. And we can see what it's actually got. Diamond is Win key and Mac OS key. Okay. So there is my portable cable. Let's get that in, and then let's go. Okay, so I did get some lighting that came up here. I have absolutely no idea what the default is, because I don't know what this actual keyboard is. Switch hitter. Okay, switch hitter. Here, batter. Alright, so let's bring switch hitter over to the right, and let's bring up right monitor so we can see switch hitter. Switch hitter is on. Okay. It is not. It's not responding. At all. So let me just unplug it. And let's try again. So the lights turned on, and then the lights turned off, and the keyboard is not responding. Oh, well, maybe it's because the cable's not providing enough, but that's going straight to the top of my PC. So that's really interesting. Unresponsive. Oh no. Now, there's nobody getting blamed here, and let's just turn the monitor right side off. So if we just check that out again, I'll show you what's happening. Is the so let's just unplug that, and okay. So that was a lot harder snap fit, and it hadn't gone all the way in. So now the lights are actually on, and it looks really bright on the stream. It's not too bad in daylight, but if you look straight down it, it is very bright. Alright, let's try switch hitter again. Suddenly magic. Yeah. Alright. Hey! Okay, so it was just me not plugging it all the way in as it requires. Okay, so escape is tab. Escape is tab key. Tab key is escape key. Okay, we've got some shenanigans happening there. Shift is shift. Control is control. Menu key is not showing. Diamond is win key as suspected. Left split spacebar is enter. Right split spacebar is space. So the default map is completely against how I would normally type at all. Alt is the left menu. You know, that's just sorry for the crotch shotting, but that's just so. Arrow key is a shift. Arrow key down is nothing. Arrow key right is nothing. Arrow key up is /! Thingy key over here that I've got as an arrow is not doing anything. I'm assuming that the standard alphas should work. P, backspace is backspace. Enter is is my quotation marks, and then bottom row should be pretty standard. Okay, so this layout is completely, yeah, it's completely different to what I would normally use. But hey, that's just going to be either reprogramming it and getting it to work. Now, of course, I have no idea how to reprogram this because, okay, so there's a reset switch here. Let's just cycle the screen off. Okay, so, wow, that's really deep. Okay, so there's the actual reset switch. It's not going to focus. There you go. So I could poke a button there, and then that'll work. So right space QWERTY. So right space is actual space bar. So I'm going to assume you mean left space. So let's go back. So left space QWERTY. Oops. Left space QWERTY is enter that space. So that's obviously not going to work. That's shift. Alt. It'll be this. Yeah. Okay. So it's the key that's between the diamond and the control, between win and control. That's my layers for the numbers by the looks of it. So that's arrows. So up. No. It's just indicating that that's happening there. Okay, so I've actually got two modifiers that's happening here because the key on the right of my up key is also seems to be a layer key, yeah, of sorts. Yeah, okay. Look, it's a lot of fun. Obviously, I would have to remap this to suit my needs and use. So we're not going to bother with that at the moment because that's, and look at that, I've somehow cycled the RGBs, so there must be layer indications as well. Now there is config tools available, so that should be able to help with that. But I want to say, what an amazing Secret Santa present. Thank you to Evan from the Van Keyboards. This is, it's blown me away on how generous he's been, and I'm going to say that hopefully as time goes on, I'm going to be able to repay that in kind to more people as well in our community with Secret Santas. So love it. Absolutely love it. Now I've gotta like make a case or a sleeve or something for it. Or maybe I should ask my wife to do that, because she makes a lot better stuff than I do. Like, I can make, you know, reasonable quality stuff, functional stuff, but not pretty. But my darling wife has been really great at putting stuff together lately. She's been making clothes for our daughter and stuff like that, and they've been turning out absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So that's part one of today's live stream. That took a lot longer than I anticipated, because I didn't expect to actually be building a keyboard already. If you still got time, would love it that you stay and hang out some more. If you don't have time, of course, and you need to Scarpa, well, hey, thanks very much for coming along. Now, sorry for the butt shot. And I want to say, I love this shirt. This is a shirt courtesy of Laser Ninja. It's one of the best things to have come out from the Australian Discord for keyboards in 2018. Bit of Australian light-hearted fun, where there's a guy punching out a kangaroo, because, you know, that's such an Australian thing to do. Guy's even wearing a Cooler Master hat. Just gonna have some water. So, I actually think that would work really well for me for work. I'd have my down bubble set up at my actual workstation, my desk, and then I could take that when I go roaming with my laptop, because they did give me a laptop bag as well. Right, let's just keep switch header, but just move it off the center of the screen so I can see what's going on. Okay, so I want to explain what I've got happening here. And this is an XD75 kit from Mastrop. You can come in.
No. I wasn't sure if I
Alright. Sorry, not from Mastrop. So mitenolet actually gave me 2 kits to review. I've done the review already, and they're going to be future videos. Okay, so if it doesn't make sense on what's happening here, it's because I don't want to go into too much detail because of those videos coming up. And this is the kit that has come from KP Republic. Keyboard Paradise Republic. But what's really funny is it's called an XD60 here, even though it's meant to be an XD75 kit. And what mitenolet has also done is he's lent me his Hakko, which I'm going to use to build this with. So let's just pull the bits out of this that's required. So there's a case part here, which we won't need until the end, because we've actually got to put the keyboard together first. So there's some box jade cap crackers that we'll be getting into. There's a whole bunch of what seems to be rando hardware. I don't know if it's got that many mount points. I'm not even sure why there's 2 packets of screws here. And I suppose one of the things that was a little bit disappointing that you will kind of see in the video is that that plate is bent. I've kind of flexed it a bit to straighten it up, but I don't want to go crazy on it, because it might end up introducing even more wacky, warped bends on that. So let's just not going to be able to focus on there, is there? Oh, there we go. Popped on the focus. You can see there's shadows because of how much sort of flex was happening there. It's so much that it's actually rattling around. So I'm going to just try and encourage it to be a little bit straighter. So the corner's lifting over here. Yikes. there was a bit of a price difference between the mass drop kit and the Chinese kit, and I don't know if you can see that, but there's actually a bend in that axis as well. Okay, so that's kind of okay-ish. It's yeah, that's a lot better than it was before, I think. So there's obviously a nice side, and then there's a not so nice side. So we're going to make sure that we use that nice side, because also the mounting holes are not symmetrical. So here's the PCB, and just want to be careful about using the PCB in the right orientation, which is this. And interestingly enough, with the LEDs, they are north-facing LEDs. So like I was saying before, supposedly the south-facing LEDs is actually the better option. So yeah, that'll be interesting. There is a reset feature here, but it doesn't look like it comes with a reset switch. So the cutout for the plate actually supports that resetting, but what that means is you have to use a probe to short it, since by default there is no reset switch in these hardware bits, and it wasn't in the case or anything else like that. So it's just something to be aware of. Yeah, so you have to short it. Now I've got a bag of switches, and I've got some hardware which I don't need absolutely right now, so I'm just going to put that back, and I need to break out the actual Hakko as well. So there's the iron, there's the base for the iron to go into, and there's the actual main unit on the desk. So now, because the cable run is going to cut across my workspace if I have the base station on the left hand side, I'm going to see if I can fit everything on the right hand side, so the actual soldering power cable is not going to be an issue. When I use my TS100, if you've watched my builds before on my streams, it's always running on this side because I have it actually hanging off my microphone stand, which yeah, just works a lot better. So I'm just going to move my mouse and move that up. Okay. This is, it's nice, but it just takes a lot of footprint on your workspace. It's definitely not a hot swap. You can tell because the footprints aren't hot swap as well. Okay. Definitely not a hot swap. So this is the first time I'll be soldering with the Hakko. I did do a review of this already, and I turned it on and heated up the iron, so I know it, it works in theory. The preset is 350, but I actually run lower than 350 for soldering leaded. I run about 320, so I'm going to adjust this down, and let's just turn that on. Okay. Boop. All right. So 350 is the adjust. 8. See how fast it's cycling up to temp? It's crazy, right? I better hold that over there, because I re-tinned it when I did the review. There we go. It's smoking. Drop off that excess solder, clean that off, and back into the holder you go. So now it's stable. In theory, if I hold that for an hour, no, 1 second. 1000. Why is that not working? 1002. I don't want to hit the adjust feature, because the adjust feature apparently is that it's not measuring the right temperature. Surely not that. Oh, okay, so it is hitting the enter button instead then. I'm gonna go. Okay, and there we go. Alright, so now, yep, the temperature is cycling down, which is what I wanted it to do. Right. So, let's have a look at some comments. I have a YiHa screwdriver set. Yes, I have one over here. I'll be using that shortly to put the screws in. No water for my sponge because I don't use a sponge when I solder. I only use the brass, because if it's a temperature regulated unit like the Hakko is, as well as the TS100, you don't actually need a sponge. Sponge is really more for like fire sticks that don't have good temp regulation, and it starts to overheat from what you're doing and you want to cool it down and wipe solder off. And this is a takeaway container that I've cut a hole in the top of and put a sponge in, because I don't have anything like this for my TS100. So that's the reason why it is actually plastic. It is actually plastic. Okay, so let's start breaking out some switches, and let's put some in, making sure that our orientation is correct. We'll go with 4 corner switches, which is fairly standard. Wow, these are a tight fits on that cutout. They do fit, but it's tight. So, soldering onto pads and pins, I don't really feel the need to use a wet sponge or anything like that. I used to use a bit of wet chucks, so it's just, you know, stuff that you wipe down surfaces with and whatever, that blue stuff. But when I got my sponge, when I got my scouring thing, I never had any issues in soldering with that. So that's why I don't bother with using a wet at all. Okay. If I was to hit the plastic, well, there's not really a question of if I hit the plastic. The plastic doesn't burn that fast. When you have a contact, unless if I'm leaving it there, it's not actually going to melt the plastic. However, I do melt plastic with my TS100, because when I hand wire, I use my iron to melt and strip the actual wire so that I can wrap it around and actually solder. How do I clean it? I use this same thing. I just scrub it off with the brush, and there's no issues with that whatsoever. Okay, so let's go left to right. Alright, so that's not sitting well because of the bend. Okay, I've got that through. This is really weird for me, because there's a lot of weight hanging off of this, and I can see why they have 350, because this is actually really slow. I think because it's a much larger tip, careful not to burn myself, it holds heat a lot better, but not down at the fine tip, which is what I'm used to soldering with. There is a chisel tip, but I didn't want to go to swapping that out. Okay, so now it's up at 350. Make sure that's seated down. Yeah, okay, so that's much nicer. It flows much quicker to what I'm accustomed to. Make sure that's sitting down. got that sitting down. It feels like it's actually soldering slower, which is really weird because, you know, it should be running at the same temp. It just might be losing more heat faster because it's a wider, fatter tip. Okay, just reflowing that to make sure it gets all the way through and heats up evenly. Right, so there's the first 4 in. Let's check that they're sitting flat, because if they're not, now is the time to fix it before I start putting other stuff in. Okay, now comes the boring part for snapping in a lot of switches. And needing my Allen key again. I'm using a smaller one this time. Okay. Yikes. These footprints are really tight. Wow. Okay. Crazy tight to get in. And it's what I might have to do is solder some in the middle, and then that will help hold it up. Like, it's such a challenge to snap those in, because that bent plate is actually it's flexing it inwards. Gonna have to get one in on this side, I think. Look at that, it's I'm trying to push it through, and all it's doing is just bending that plate down. Yikes. So yeah, I'm a bit of a sucker for punishment, since I'm building this instead of mitenolet, but hey, it's the price you pay for wanting stuff to be able to build and have content, I guess. So that's not even. So this side's going in. Oh, come on. All right, maybe I'll try one of these middle ones first. How does everybody else do this? Do I need to desolder this entire thing and then pop it off? Hey, Jim Hoxton, you can certainly ask me a question. Axe away. It's what we're here for. Ah, I bent the pins on this. So should I desolder those 4 switches and push every one of these in first and then? Because I feel like it's the only way I'm going to be able to build this with this plate being so tight. Have I ever been to Vegas? I have not been to Vegas. I've been to the US a number of times, but I've never gone to Vegas. Should I be going to Vegas? Is there a particular question on that? Is there fun? You can individually pull the plate. Yeah, so normally I do the corners and then like maybe a couple in the middle, and that way it helps hold the position properly and stabilize it, but this plate is so tight that it doesn't want to play ball. It's good that I've never been to Vegas. Well, it's a bit unfortunate if you don't want me to go there, but you say that you live there. So, Victor, this is the solder pult Elite, or is it the Champion? That's the actual packet there, the Edson solder pult, the SS350. So this one is electrostatic safe plastic, but it's only on that side because the barrel itself is metal, and then it's got an ESD safe tip. I really like the design because the spring is outside of the body. I've reviewed it, so there is a video on the channel about this. The cheapy solder puller that I had previously, which is this piece of junk, the spring is actually inside, and the way that it's retained is also a very poor mechanism, and you can see it's already depressed because the spring engagement is broken on this. And it's a pain because when you clean it, the actual iron, the solder bits get stuck in the spring, and it's just really, really nasty. This being on the outside means you don't have any of that at all. The insides is really easy to clean because it's just the plunging mechanism in there. You couldn't search it in time. It's an Edson. So that's like a Raven. Ignore that. It's just the EDSYN. But if you look for solder pult, that's actually what you want to be looking up. Solder pult, and that's the SS350. Okay. Jim, want to hear a story? Sure. Love to hear stories. Type away while I desolder this, and then I'll look up and check it out. So this soldering iron is also a little bit more expensive than a lot of really sort of cheap ones, but I felt that investing a little bit in, not soldering iron, desoldering gun was worthwhile because, you know, it reduces frustration, and having the metal body on it means it's a lot more durable. The only thing that I'm going to say is a negative is that you will get very sore thumbs if you desolder a lot because the spring on this is incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. But that's kind of like a good thing because it generates a really, really solid vacuum. Okay, so did I successfully desolder these switches? I haven't soldered any others on, so maybe not. Alright, let's apply a bit more heat. The pads are clean, but obviously it's probably got like a bit of channel wicking. Okay, how do I power my TS100? I have a hard drive dock power supply on it. It's just like a 12 volt thing, nothing particularly fancy. It works pretty well for me. Well, that pin's moving freely. That one isn't, so I'm suspecting that one's probably the one that's going to be giving a bit of trouble. Okay, so that's moving a bit better now. That one's not moving super freely. There we go. I didn't lift any pads. Nope. Okay, so that side's still holding on quite firmly. I'll read this as soon as I finish desoldering these switches. I'll have to enable it to be shown because the spam filter has caught it, unless if Raymond's still hanging around and wants to approve that. So let's hit show. Well, I don't know who it is, but I kind of enabled it, but language-wise, just need to be a little bit careful about what you're saying. So, because we might have some underage people at some point watching this stream. I see. Well, I had hoped it wasn't going to be you, but oh dear. It's a bit of an unfortunate story, Jim. That said, though, I'm kind of glad you still have your health, right? And you can still be enjoying keyboards. The moral of the story is, don't live or work in Vegas. I've just noticed that there's a mark on the PCB, which hopefully that's not going to cause any problem. Well, if I kill this, I will owe mitenolet a new PCB. True love isn't a real thing. Oh, that's a heavy topic for Christmas, my friend. Of course.
Goodbye, Daddy.
Oh, where you going, Arietti? Where you going? You're going to daycare?
No,
Where you going?
to my mom.
You're going to your mum? Okay.
Goodbye, Daddy.
Bye-bye. I did show you. There's a mark on the PCB. There's... Not quite sure what's happened there. There's a black like that. I don't know if the silk screen stuffed up. It's glossy, so it just might be the white silk screen didn't make it through, or like a bit of the black somehow printed on that. But hopefully it doesn't look like I've damaged it. So yeah. The moral of the story is Vegas is a virus that grows on you. Are there antibiotics and drugs that are available to get you out of Vegas? And when I say drugs are bad, okay? Alright, so don't do drugs. Except for prescribed drugs when you are actually sick or dying. Recreational drugs are bad for you. There we go. Sounds like my daughter is getting upset at something. And while I'm doing that, I should probably bump the temperature down because I don't need it at 350 anymore. Okay, let that cool off. Let's just dump them all out because now I'm going to be snapping them all in. Take the rubber band out that was holding the bags together. So I don't really watch a lot of other streams from other keyboard builders when they build their stuff. Is there anything in particular that they do in theirs that is very, very different, that's better or worse than my dodgy way of doing streams? Just out of, you know, curiosity. Oh, hey, Chokan, it's great to see you. Merry Christmas. I hope you are having some KFC today. And if you're not having any KFC today, why are you not having KFC? Because love to have some KFC today, except I'm not sure any of the KFCs around us are open. I know there's some McDonald's that are open. I went for a walk this morning to go down the street because I had a DHL parcel from All PCB that came in yesterday, except I was out and I couldn't make it back in time, which means I couldn't pick it up from the newsagent, and most of the shops were closed. Only the Vietnamese bakery was open and the Lebanese pizza place was open. So I was kind of sad because I wanted to pick up those PCBs I had made. So Jim's lived in Vegas all his life and he wants to go to Cassia and sail the seas. But so yeah, and Chokin is saying that he shuns the KFC tradition. Oh, come on. Bit of fried chicken doesn't hurt, surely. So does it, not to preach or anything like that, but would you say then, Jim, you've got potential gambling addictions? So Jolly Green Giant's asking, what is Lebanese pizza? No, it's a pizza joint, but rather than your standard toppings, they use things like sujuk, which is like a Lebanese sausage. They do like manouche, which is oregano pizza. They do like meat pizza, which is ground lamb with like a tomato base on it, which is quite nice. They do half and half, so you get like, you know, a half oregano pizza, half meat pizza, and the best way to eat that is you fold it in half, and then so you get the best of both worlds. Cheese pizza, which is kind of standard-ish, I guess. Yeah. That pizza place does also, like in winter and for Ramadan and stuff like that, they do camel burgers, and they have like a charcoal grill running at night when they do the camel burgers, which is really interesting. So it's pizza dough, but it's very thin crust pizza dough. So it's not super thick like Chicago deep dish kind of stuff. It's closer to like a thin, but it's not crunchy or crispy. It's more, I would say it's closer to like a New York pizza style that's thin, just so that it's really more about the toppings than anything else. It's definitely not Lebanese bread though, because that's more like, you can tear Lebanese bread and it forms like layers, but not thick like pita bread is, where it's actually designed for stuffing stuff in the middle of it. So yeah, just snapping switches. So what's happening for you at the moment, Chokan? I see your channel is just absolutely pelting along and growing and having a good time. Think of us little channels as you rise to stardom. My daughter is still complaining about something, and I don't know what it is that she's complaining about. So she got some Duplo this morning from somebody. She got some PJs. She got a book, and Mummy and Daddy yesterday gave her some play money, because she wants to play with real money and stash it and sweep it off the table and stuff. So we found her some play money, so she got to play with that. But Terrible Twos has struck her very, very hard, and every little thing she gets upset about now. So yeah, what's going on with man, this is so tiring putting these switches through this plate. In the bathroom, scream and punch everything, drunk, lost 500,000 on blackjack. Ooh, okay. That doesn't sound very good. Security guards escorted to kick you out. You really should maybe think about moving, Jim. Daughter and presents went off to band practice. Got a Switch. Oh, nice. And clothes and chocolates from the UK family. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is the sound of a an upset 2.5-year-old in the background. But you know what? That's family life, and sometimes you just have to bear and grin and try and reason with a 2.5-year-old. Doesn't work very well all the time. And when she cries, she slows her words, and it makes it even harder to try and figure out what's wrong and what she wants. Oh. Like, I did not understand at all what she said that she wanted. Well, Jim, you don't have to leave it if you're happy with your life there. Not that, I'm in any position to tell you how to live your life. It's just a matter of, if you say that you wanted to go to Corsica and sail the seas, you got to take a step somehow, sometime, right? So Chokan is saying his 12-year-old still gets angry. Well, yes, but at 12, you would hope that they have some ability to actually reason, and then maybe you can have a chance of talking. But 2.5-year-olds tend to be a bit more of a challenge. Victor, Nintendo Switches in Australia at the moment sit around 400 odd, I think. I don't know what they are in other countries. You can get them on sale and bundles for like maybe $380, I think. Well, Jim, it sounds like you might need a bit of an intervention though. If you really want to be out and you are stuck, you might need some assistance from good people out there to help you get out of that loop. At 12 years old, when they're angry, I think that's called angst. That's called puberty blues. It's emo-ness and hormones and trying to find themselves in the world and their identity and where they're placed and how they relate to other people. Yeah. Right, so it looks like there's a lot more than 75 switches. That was probably a 100 pack from Novel Keys. So now that I've snapped all of these in, watch me screw this up trying to get all the pins in perfectly. Wow, my thumb is absolutely wrecked from pushing those switches in. Jim, I'm sure you would be more than capable of making friends, right? Everybody can make friends. It's just putting in the time and effort, You're making friends here on a stream and having things that are, common interests and things like that. Surely, no? I would say that all the people here are friendly enough and probably would be happy to be friends if you let them. Okay, so the correct orientation for this should be this way. Right, let's give this a try. Pins, pins, pins. Pray to the pin gods that all these pins are lining up. I can see them in all of these holes, and hopefully when I look through this profile I'll see 2 pins sticking out of every one of these pads, and then I can claim hallelujah. Alright, so it looks good. Let's get these all the way in on some of these. So it's hearing little popping sounds, and it looks good. Oh, there's some sort of plate. Yeah, the plate bending's kind of causing a little bit of an issue, because it's causing some of these to flex and lift, but they look pretty cool side on profile. All of those are in. Those are in. Alright, so if you look down that and it'll focus, all those rows of pins neatly line up. It's actually really cool. Just a pity I don't really have any particular setup for macro filming. Oh no. 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 Rip. Can anyone tell me what I just did wrong? My plate's upside down. The mount holes don't line up. Oh. Oh. Kill me now. Seriously. Holy smokes. I better turn that iron off because it's just been heating. It doesn't seem to have an automatic cooldown. I'm just gonna re-tin that to help the tip, because that was just baking. Cripes. I did not do that deliberately, because nobody, seriously, nobody would want to go through the pain of what I'm about to do, which is pop out every one of these bloody switches. You know what's even worse? It's the fact that I did that when I first put these switches in. I've got the right side, but the holes... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Is that right? Is the holes lining up? You gotta be kidding me. Okay. Alright. Here is another complaint that I'm going to have against this kit, by the way. The dodgy side, which has got markings and scuff marks and is not clean, is like the side that's meant to be facing up. It's meant to sit that way, now that I'm looking at it closely, and it's dirty as, and it's got like marks and scratches, and that's just poor form. So my original 4 switches were in, but I even got that wrong because they didn't line up, because I hadn't even thought about it, about the mounting holes. Alright, Jim. Thanks for coming. I hope you have a better time, and good luck. Wow. One day, Jim will make it to Corsica and be sailing the deep blue seas. We hope. No, you don't need to pray for me. Paddle pop sticks for the win. Oh, man. So, this is how I'm spending Christmas. I think my wife just took my daughter out for a walk. Or something of that nature. She probably got upset because she wanted to wear certain shoes or socks. And yeah. It's like, if you're wearing the sandals, which she calls tappy shoes, you don't need to wear socks because they're sandals. But then she wants to wear her flower shoes where you have to wear socks, and then she's like, I don't want to wear socks. And things like that. It's just toddler things, I guess. Tell you what, I'm getting lots of physical exercise with this, and that's good because Christmas time is a time of gaining weight, and so far I've gained like 600 grams a day thanks to eating at the in-laws yesterday and grandma's birthday banquet the other night. It's just it's a season for the weight gain, isn't it? So doing this at least helps keep that in check. And it's hot today. I've actually got some airflow moving at the moment, but not the AC on. It's going to be... It's 33 degrees isn't really hot for summer in Australia, but because recently we've had a lot of rain, the temperatures have actually been quite low. It's just been humid. And so today being 33 degrees, whereas the last week's all been well sort of under 30 degrees, it's going to feel really hot today. So I think my wife's sort of gone for a quick wander before it really gets in the heat of the day, or they've gone out maybe searching for lunch. My wife is playing Pokemon Go, so she likes to do the rounds to hit up the gyms and the raids. I don't play Pokemon Go only because my old phone didn't support it very well. My latest phone, and I'm not going to call it a new phone because it's a semi-busted hand-me-down, I can play it, but I don't have the data plan. I only get 1.5 gigabytes a month, so I kind of reserve that for emergency usage, whereas my wife's got almost 3 times as much data as me at 4 gigabytes a month, so she can get out, and about an hour of Pokemon Go when she's out and about eats about 30 megs of data or something like that. So it's not a lot, but yeah, it makes a difference if you're going to be out there daily. So Chokan says, I'd like to do the opposite of what you told me to do. Toddlers. Very much so. Go to bed. No. Put this on. No. You need a nappy change? No. Tell mommy and daddy when you want to use the toilet? No. Can you please stop crying and tell us what's wrong? No. I'm just going to cry harder. This is not very encouraging for people who don't have children and think of having children, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. One day they might actually put you in a nursing home. And yes, that's relative light for some people. So I have a Galaxy S7. The screen's busted on it, so yeah, let's say that is one of the reasons why it was a hand-me-down, and the charging port doesn't work very well on it, so I actually had to get a Wi-Fi, not Wi-Fi, a wireless charging thing for it. Now, since not encouraging, but you didn't say it wasn't true. Well, yes, it's not encouraging for people who want to have small children, but it's the things that you have to expect if you are going to have small children. So I've got some water here. I'm just going to carefully try not contaminate my water. And try and give this a clean up if it's just surface or if it's actually damage to the plate. so some of it seems to be surface dirt, and some of it seems to be actual marking scuffs. Okay, so most of that's kind of cleaning off, which is nice. That said, once you get keycaps on it, you don't really see it. So, but this is China, people. This is. What's interesting is that apparently this kit costs more than the mass drop version did, and I can tell you, without giving the game away on my video about these kits yet to be released, is the mass drop version's better. Okay. When they can bring you beer, coffee, or go to the shops, it's all worth it. Well, I do drink beer, but I don't go out of my way to buy beer, so that's not likely. But bringing coffee and going to the shops, yeah, I can see that. Okay, so now the holes line up. The holes line up correctly. So let's get the switches in. What a day. What a day. All right, let's get these in the right way. Okay, so that orientation is finally in the right way. Now you might be wondering why I've left the corner switches, because I need to find those switches I already had solder on before, and I'll put them into the corners. At least doing this is not terribly taxing, and you can kind of relax and have a good time if you're on stream and hang out and chat to your friends on the internet. So this week I'm on break. I go back on the 2nd. We'll be doing our last episode of our podcast this week for this year as well. Try and do some recaps. So Raymond, the answer is yes. All platforms, if you use them, will take a cut of contributions and donations. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, and you can't really get around that, unfortunately. Is this the right way? Is this the right way? That is the right way. Okay. Making sure. So yes, if you buy me a coffee, then it will, and if you support us through Patreon, it will. The only one that doesn't is, of course, if you make contributions through PayPal Friends and Family. But even now, PayPal Friends and Family for internationals does. It never used to, but because they've split the Australian branch of PayPal financially in some way, and the payment systems, it now does. Because you used to be able to send money Friends and Family International and it wouldn't cost you fees, but now it does. So you can only send Friends and Family within Australia without incurring extra fees, which really sucks. So there's not much you can do about that. The only problem with using buying me a coffee is that their payment methods is not very common for Australia. So their payment method is through Sprint payments and something else, and so you actually have to set up a separate thing for if you want to draw down on the donations that you've received. So I think there's like 20 US sitting in there at the moment, because I didn't realize that that was how their system forced you to utilize. So to reduce the actual amount of fees per transaction, I've just left that amount of donations that we've received sitting in there for the moment. Yes, I'm definitely multi-checking that the orientation is correct, as you just saw just then, and just to be extra paranoid, I can do it again and this time it all lines up. So yeah. What I'm finding really interesting though is the mounting hardware that came with it has like screws with nuts in them. But if this is going through the PCB to the actual case, why do they need to have nuts for the ends of the screws? Like, right? It doesn't, it's really weird. So hopefully, I'm going to just check that case and how it mounts before I start soldering, because I don't want to screw this up again. So yeah, what else has been happening? I've been playing around with some ideas on mounting and case options for the down bubble. Kevin's been working on his level version 3, which has he's got some quotes, and I think he's getting a prototype made and coming, and he's already started on level version 4, which personally I actually don't think it should be called a level, because it's actually a different layout, well, size, form factor. So you might need to redefine that, because it's technically not the level anymore. At this rate, this will be like a new live stream marathon for me. What was the longest that I'd ever done? Like 5 hours or something to hand wire that Seabright that I had, the Minorca, whichever it was, with the SMKs. Did I do that? I'll tell you what would be an absolute marathon is building a Scrabble pad, because I have a Scrabble pad. I haven't actually done a video on it yet. I really should. I'm not going to be building it anytime soon, because I actually don't have enough spare switches to put it together. I had thought about originally using it as a switch test mount PCB, so I would actually solder switches from my switch testing collection in there, but then I kind of realized while I could do that, if I got in new switches and I wanted to move their orientation and position, that would be, you'd have to desolder a lot to move them around, so that's probably not as good an idea. Because the original thought when I sort of invested in it was that I could solder them in, and then I could program each position within the massive grid, so that when you press the switch, if it was plugged in, it would tell you what that switch was. But that means obviously if you're spamming it and you're trying to feel it and you've got it plugged in, then you're just going to end up with like a whole bunch of text spam on what that switch was. It's still possible. It's still possible. Okay, we're more than halfway through now on snapping these bad boys, these cap crackers in. The shaving tool actually looks really interesting. So Reese from Daily Clack, also known as Fatty, he's actually got some of the samples, I believe, of the stem shaver that's designed to shave down the cap crackers, so you can actually put on your other key sets. He said they work, and he recommends getting the one with the wooden handle. I haven't actually, because I put my name down for the interest check on those, so I don't know what's happened with that, since I don't geek hack, and I haven't seen it turn up on Reddit either. So if they do happen, I might get one, because I have a lot of cap cracking goodness potentially that I could use that tool on. All of my switch library ones that are box switches are cap crackers, but I don't intend to ever change those key sets, so it's not an issue. I have navies on my 96 key that's got cap crackers with a DSA set on that, so I should probably leave them, because if I take the DSA set, they've probably already been stretched. But that said, I haven't seen or noticed any visible cracking when I did take a couple off to look. It's very hard to say, but because it's a vomit set, I'm not really too fussed about it either, since it came from grab bags. Alright, we're on the last row, on the home stretch. And then we can pull out that case and quickly check that it's going to be okay. Well, this year we didn't sing on the podcast, which I think some people were thankful for. And you know, I say it every year, and I mean it, but like, it's amazing that we're still going. It's amazing that 2 years on, I'm still recording podcasts, I'm still making videos, I'm still loving doing keyboards and doing custom builds and designs. I'm still learning and developing. It's been amazing for me. Being such a homebody, now that I'm working full time and I have a daughter, I don't have as much time to go out and do a lot of the sports activities that I used to. Being able to channel sort of my time and energy into something that's still just as meaningful has been really great for me, and I really appreciate the community for being there and being, you know, part of that. And you know, you can see the amazing stuff that people do with all the giveaways, and like what Evan sent me for Secret Santa as well, like just absolutely flabbergasted. So I'm hoping to be able to continue in that vein as we go forward into the future. And somehow I've managed to put one of these switches that are already soldered into the middle, because these three left over are not soldered in at all. But obviously I must have desoldered it so cleanly that I can't even tell that it was a soldered switch. Or, there we go, I found it. I had to look for the rosin shine. There we go. Alright, so that one can go back in the corner. Deep breaths, deep breaths. One day, when we can afford it, we'd love to move into a bigger place, because obviously we're going to need more space. And then I might have space for, you know, more workshop-y stuff again. Have some permanent setups. Maybe get back into casting keycaps and artisans and cases again, especially as she gets older. As my daughter gets older, unless of course number 2 comes along, which is, you know, not out of the question. She can have a sibling to look after and care for, and learn some responsibilities and skills, and hopefully not be an older sibling and bully. One always hopes, but you know, kids are always going to fight. My nieces and nephews, we sort of talk to them almost every week when we go over to my parents, so my daughter gets to see the grandparents, and a lot of the time they are fighting in the background. Yes, okay, so the reset is matched. Wait, the reset hole is matched, so you can short it, and the screw holes are also matched. Huzzah! Right, now, I didn't even check that carefully when I put it through, but I didn't feel any mass resistance, so I'm hoping that all of these pins will do their thing and come through. These ones in the middle need to be pressed down so the stems go through the holes. That's the clicking sound that I was hearing before. There we go. Click, click. Rip my fingertips, indeed. Oh, that hurts. The bent plate's kind of still giving a little bit of grief, but okay, there's pins that run all the way through on every one of those. On all of those. and all of those. All right, we are back to soldering. Oh, all right, let's turn the Hakko back on. Okay, so that can go back. Thanks very much, guys, for actually joining me. Like, I really appreciate that too. It can be quite lonely to stream and not have anybody watch. Even if people sit there and lurk, which is perfectly fine, because there's 9 people watching right now, and the messages have dropped off, which is perfectly fine. I'm just going to keep rabbiting on. But when there's nobody here, which has kind of happened before in the early days, it can be a little bit disheartening. But you still do it anyway, right? Because you want to put out stuff, and I'm doing something that I need to do anyway, and I'm enjoying it. But it's more, if you guys are having family, or even if you're alone and there's nobody else around nearby, and you want a bit of company, then yeah, swing on by, enjoy the stream, chat, talk random stuff. I suppose that's why, if you've never heard of what a mukbang is, those are really, really popular channels. And like the Korean sort of streaming industry is really popular with mukbangs as well. And BJs, if you know what BJs are, and I'm not talking about the one of the adult versions of it, but BJs are actually another version of that. Maybe I'm not going to go into too much detail about BJs. Setting up daughter's new smart light bulb. And Victor, well, rubbing salt into the wound while it hurts, it helps keep the wound clean. You can maybe put some peroxide on it as well, and in that way it won't get infected and it'll heal better and faster. Okay, time for some soldering. Rightio. But yeah, so mukbang is where people essentially watch other people eat on stream, and it's really taken off in the last couple of years, and Korea is like one of the places where mukbangs are really popular, and it's because a lot of people hate eating alone, but they don't have a choice, because either the times that they eat, they don't have the means to go out because they might be shift workers, or they live in remote locations, or their friends are unavailable to join them, or they don't have family and stuff like that. And so they get online and onto places like YouTube and Twitch, where people will essentially either live stream themselves eating, or they've got clips of eating, right? And so people can still have the enjoyment of like having company and eat, and so they don't feel out of place and lonely. And I think that's actually really great. Like, for some people, they're like, oh, that's really weird, it's some kind of fetish thing. It's like, no, it's not. It's about having a sense of community and company. And yes, some of the channels can apparently be suggestive and a bit of ASMR and sexualize the whole process of mukbangs, but a lot of mukbangs are not. And that's just how it is. And there's normal people, there's pretty people, like there's guys, there's girls. It doesn't really matter as long as you find the niche and somebody that you're comfortable in watching. And some of them will talk and eat with you, others are just straight up eat. It's really interesting, but at the same time it's really cool and important for some people to be able to have that. And while this is not a mukbang, and of course this is building keyboards, you could build a keyboard at the same time while I'm building a keyboard. You can just come here and hang out and have a sense of that somebody's actually talking and responding to you, which I think is really, really important. Mental health, especially at this time of year, right? So, I have a mustache. Now, technically, I've kind of broken the rules about Movember, because at the end of Movember, you're meant to be shaving it off. But I'm keeping it on just because I want to try it. But I grew it for Movember, which is for men's health. But one of the things that people don't realize often is mental health is such a big deal. Originally, when it first started, it was about prostate cancer, and now it's really expanded to a lot of men's health, including mental health. This time of year is so dangerous and so hard for a lot of people because they don't have friends and family. They are alone out there, and that has a massive impact on people's mental health. Especially, there's still a really big culture all around the world that, you know, guys are meant to be tough. They're not meant to be, you know, out there crying. They're not meant to be asking for help. And some guys, they're very traditional. When they need help, they don't ask for it because that's the way that they grew up. That's the way that they were told and taught, and that was the image that they feel that they have to maintain. And that's really, really bad, because that's when people will be in vulnerable mindsets and have the potential for very destructive behavior. So, you know, if you know somebody who is potentially single and, you know, is at risk of not having friends, family, company, and don't get me wrong, there's some people who absolutely hate being around other people, right? And they want to be alone, and they're perfectly happy and healthy. Don't go bugging those people, right? But at the same time, just give them a bell, right? Just reach out to them and say, hey man, like, happy holiday season, just making sure you're okay. Because if they're your friends, they're going to appreciate it anyway, right? They'll be like, thanks. And, you know, you can extend an offer, hey, you want to come around for dinner, grab a drink or whatever, just to make sure that they're okay. And if they say they're okay, well, the only thing that you can do is just take that and say, all right. But if you need, or if you want to come around, if you need somebody to hang with and chill and grab a beer or build a keyboard, make a macro pad, you know, the offer stands, just let me know, right? So Victor's just saying that I look different and I didn't have it in previous podcasts. Well, podcasts being audio, by the way, in the sheer technicality, you wouldn't be able to see that I had it. But I've been recording a whole bunch of videos where my mustache is there. It's just not as fully developed since I'm only doing weekly kind of video releases at the moment. Yeah, it's been 2 months worth almost now, so I'm going to keep it until it annoys me, and I don't know how long that's going to be. I don't know why, but it just could be a familiarity issue here. I just don't feel like the Hakko is, I can solder as smoothly. It could be the just not being accustomed to the tip. Like the iron is heating up well and the solder is flowing well, but I just feel like the size of the tip and the angle of the tip, it's not getting me sort of the same result that I normally have when I'm flowing solder on. So it works, like, don't get me wrong, it's just getting used to it. Having soldered for a year now with the TS100, yeah, it's a very different experience, because I think the B2 tip that comes with it that I use for most of my builds, all of my builds really, is a bit blunter and a bit more rounder, so when I feed it into the tip it reacts a lot faster, whereas this tip is a little bit finer and therefore it's going to be a little bit not the same. So you'll notice that maybe you might be able to see it, probably not, that I'm kind of feeding it a little bit up the body, and I'm now holding it at an angle because I'm not able to get that sort of same flow compared to how I normally do it with the 100. Now yes, I know the TS80 is out there as well. It seems to be a really good iron for what it is. Hey, no main bear. It is an ortho. It is a XD75, and you've missed a whole lot of drama on getting it to where it currently is. So yeah. But what was I saying about the TS80? I know it's out there and it seems to be really great, but I can't really justify spending the money getting another iron when I've already got 2 quite functional irons, 3 really if you want to think about it. I've got the TS100, I've got the YiHua 936 Plus, which is a clone of the earlier version of the Hakko 936. And I've also got a Fire Stick. So, you know, all else fails, backup. But be cool to get and check out the 80, but then the power supply for that being USB-C driven. I'm already maxing out a lot of my USB ports, as you kind of see. It's yeah, not ideal to be pulling more through my USB-C if I don't have to, or through my USB in general. Yes, drama llama. So I put the switches in, and well, I straightened the plate, I put the switches in, I went to solder, I couldn't get them in because the plate was being a challenge, so I desoldered the 4 corner ones. Then I put in all the switches to discover I couldn't actually start soldering because I'd put the plate on flipped backwards on the wrong side, so I had to pull all of those switches out, and then put them back in the right way with the plate, so then I could start soldering. And I've checked multiple times that this is the correct orientation, because I will be very upset if this was not the right orientation. It's actually really great that you know, I even have somebody as famous as Chokhan checking out my stream, because there's levels of, I suppose, not really notoriety, but celebrityness within streaming, especially in like a small type of niche community like us. Knowing Tay Keyboards in person is always cool, because, you know, he's probably one of the biggest names in our community for streaming and channels, and knowing that he's only 20 minutes away from me is always really cool. He's a cool chap. But then having international people like, you know, Chokhan actually checking out my streams and joining in, I suppose it helps because he's in a relative time zone compared to a lot of the US people who wouldn't be in the same time zone. Yeah, it's always nice. It's always nice. You're going to make your own case for it though. So what are you going to be making the case out of? Like CNCing, wood, 3D printing, that kind of thing? Yeah, so Mendez from Tay Keyboards, he lives in Sydney, and he lives, well, I'm not going to say the suburb, but yeah, he's only really one very small highway away. He's a pretty cool guy. We had a bit of a fun meet the other time because he needed some Pro Micros and I had a lot in stock, so he was like, can I get some Pro Micros from you tonight? And I was like, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'll be there in 20 minutes. So I went downstairs before he actually messaged me, because I was like, okay, it's 20 minutes, he should be getting here pretty close. And yeah, he was downstairs about to message me, and I just knocked on the window of his car, and he came out, and I handed him a packet of the Pro Micros and was like, oh yeah, you know, shook hands, hello, and whatever. And he was like, yeah, all right, I better be off. And then he got back in his car and drove away. So it was almost like a drug deal where, you know, he was just getting palmed a packet of Pro Micros. And that said, where I live in Sydney, it wouldn't be unusual for there to be actual drug dealers happening in this area. So if somebody had seen that and dobbed it into the cops and we got pulled up by the cops, they'd be like, you know, hello, what's going on here? Especially because the Pro Micros come in those little silver packets. They'd be like, you're doing a bit of a drug deal or something. I'd be like, no, officer, we're like exchanging electronics. And they'd be like, what? You're like, well, you can test it if you want. Here's what they are. and I remember the time when I met up with somebody and I did something very similar, but it was for keycaps. So it'd be like doing a shifty 8 o'clock at night kind of thing by the side of the road where somebody drives up, gets a bunch of keycaps, and then drives off and get pulled over by the cops. It's like, all right, you know, you've been arrested for suspicion of drug dealing, when you can go to court and be like, well, no traces of drugs at all. All it was just keycaps. It's like, well, you can make anything seem suspicious if you put your mind to it. Especially because, like, I've got a shaved head, I've got a mustache, and yeah, entertaining in that way. And somebody met up with me at the train station for grab bags, because we proxied a 6-box of grab bags from Signature Plastics, and I was just sitting there at the train station, kind of like in the semi-darkness with a hoodie on, and these guys just rocked up and just walked off with these bags. It's just like guy got home and was like on Discord saying, oh yeah, picked up my grab bags and I didn't get stabbed. It was just like, were you ever at risk of getting stabbed by somebody from the keyboard community exchanging things? Well, Victor, I was just saying that, you know, handing out stuff, picking up components locally when people come by my place to get like Pro Micros or keycaps, grab bags and things like that. It's almost like a drug deal where somebody turns up on the main road, gets out of the car, hand them a packet of stuff, and then they leave. Because, you know, you don't pay in cash a lot these days. They transfer it with PayPal or, you know, bank deposit. So, yeah, it's just very much a bit of entertainment there. So, No Main is wanting to make it out of walnut log. That's pretty cool. So you've got like a workshop level of gear available to you to do that. My sister-in-law has like a lathe, and I had some simple tools like I've got a circular saw and a drop saw, miter saw, jigsaw from when we renovated the unit after we bought it. So she's borrowed that to chop up big bits of wood that she picks up so that she can put it on the lathe. I'd love to actually get more into it because she let me try a little bit one time when I was over there. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, but I can understand that there's definitely a lot of practice involved. So if you're using, I don't know, more woodworking equipment, table routers and stuff, be a lot of space. Australia is on the fight against encryption. Say no to encryption. Oh gosh, that was the dumbest. I don't understand this government sometimes in the policies that they take a stand on, and both sides of the major parties are just silly. I try not to be too political, but there are things that they do that make no sense, and there's not even, you know, support from their own people. Like the people that the parties are meant to represent. Normally, you know, you'll have Labour and Liberal supporters bashing each other and going, oh, you know, this, that and the other, the policy's better. But I have yet to see a single person through normal means and media and social media say that this encryption bill that was passed, this law that was passed, is actually what they wanted. It's crazy. I don't know how easy it is within Australia to repeal laws compared to some other countries, but I can tell you there's definitely a lot of people who would be interested in voting in a government that would repeal that kind of activity, especially if they are lobbyists and supporters for tech companies who do encryption related software and systems. It's all very, very silly. We're almost there. We're at the end of the tunnel. Rightio. Only a few more switches, and there is so much rosin splatter on the table here. Now, I'm a lazy builder because most of the boards that I build for myself, I don't clean the rosin splatter off, and I would do it on this keyboard for mitenolet, except for the fact that I don't even have any ISO anyway because I don't use it. So I'm sorry, mitenolet, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that there's rosin splatter all over the back of your new XD75 that I've built here. 2 more switches, 4 more pins, 3, 2, one pin, and finish. Woo! Wow. Wow. Man, I have rosin splatter over like my thumb and my thumbnail. It feels like I've got PBT keycaps for skin. Yeah, I'll have to scrape and clean that off later. So, as I like to do, I just usually go back and have a look at my joins, and if any of the joins are looking a bit dodgy, or like a cold joint or something like that, then I'll go and reflow it, just to make sure that it's going to have a good, healthy connection. Because I once built a gherkin. That sounds like a poem. I once built a gherkin and spent much time on it. The key map failed to work well because it had cold solder joints. And as you can tell, I'm also not a poet. Actually, when we did haikus on the podcast for one of our competitions, that was brilliant. I tell you, there's a lot of talented haiku writers out there in the community. That was lots of fun. I really enjoyed going through those haikus, and I know that some of them gave us feedback and was like they really enjoyed doing those haikus as well. So our community is very, very talented. Oh, look at that big fat joint. Okay, let's just pull some of that away. Alright, so the rest of that looks good. Look, rosin has acid, yeah, but that's the whole point of having the solder mask on there anyway. It's not really going to be that big a deal, because it's crystallized. If it re-wets, then that's when you might have an issue, but on something like this, it's not really that big a deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that off, and then I'm going to re-tin this tip while it's still got some residual heat. Clean that off and use the rosin core and flux to actually keep that tip happy and healthy, and then give it a coat of solder so when it cools it will be protected against oxidation. So the only downside about this Hakko is that because it retains heat so well, it takes ages to cool. It takes so long to cool this down. What's the time? It's like 11, almost 12 o'clock now. 11:48. 11:48. What are you guys doing for Christmas dinner or Christmas lunch or Christmas Eve dinner, depending on where you are in the world? Yesterday, went to the in-laws and we had a homemade lunch. We had prawns, we had mussels, they were all grilled. We had octopus, some eggplant, zucchini, had some little pasta stars, which was really nice, and like a Viet dish. So you get like minced meat, and you wrap it in like this leaf. It's almost like a betel nut leaf, kind of like a sweet potato leaf, and then you put it on skewers and then you can cook that, and that was really nice. What else did we have? Grilled pineapple, always lovely. Something very fresh and refreshing in this kind of climate where we are in the world. Is that still flowing? It's still flowing. It's slowing down though. Yeah, so that was nice. And my sister-in-law made a grape, I don't even remember what it's called, but it's like a flan, but a bit firmer with some fresh cream. And we had some Frisian tea and some Earl Grey special tea for afternoon tea, which was really nice too. So yeah, it's always good to be able to do that kind of thing. I took my switch tester library collection over as well to the in-laws, because my sister-in-law's partner, we were talking at Grandma's birthday dinner the other night about keyboards and macro pads, and he was like kind of interested for his work because he works as an educator, as a teacher, and he was saying how they have a lot of course notes and stuff that they have to navigate through a whole bunch of places all the time because they hot desk and stuff and use sort of login terminals, and it's a real pain. And I was like, well, if you set it up as a macro and the websites are static and the course note locations and stuff like that are static, what you can do is use MacroPad, just hit it, and then it'll take you there every time, which is pretty cool. So he really liked that idea, but then I was saying to him, you know, he wanted to have, because they hot desk, he wanted to dominate a desk, dominate a desk, so that other people would see it and be like, oh, I don't want to take that desk because, you know, that's going to be a pain to use and work off. And so he wanted to get a split keyboard because he likes the idea and the ergonomics of that. And then I said, if you really want to stop somebody, because like the split keyboard still isn't guaranteed to prevent somebody not using it, is you put blanks on it. And that'll be like, unless if they are absolutely on the ball, then yeah, having blanks will normally stop a lot of people dead from touching your setup. Now, what I did realize just then, by the way, is we didn't look at the case. So if there's something wrong with this, now that I've put it all in, I'm just gonna chuck in the towel. Right, so here's the hardware bits, and here is this case. So apparently this case, the feet already came pre-installed on it. So I should probably put these rubber feet on it as well. So Chokan says, Victor K first says they think his brother's making something, and Chokan says they eat whatever they feel like, something fancy but not Christmassy. Fancy, the word fancy. It's always interesting what people feel is fancy and not fancy. I suppose it depends on what you're used to. Blanks with an ortho layout or make a Cormac or Dvorak. Oh gosh. And split. Just get like a let's split with blanks in Colmac, and I'll tell you that will probably wipe out 90% of the population from being able to use your keyboard. Alright, little rubber feet. Of course the feet are already on this, so I didn't have to install these back ones, but if mitenolet wants to take these off and have a flat board, then obviously having these feet on are very important and for completeness. There we go. Lucky last foot. Right, so that's on. Get in there. Get those edges in. The actual footprint of these slots are, I think, a little bit on the small side, because when you put them on, you can use the light reflection to see what edges are actually in or not, but have to give them a bit of a nudge in the right direction. Your wife? No main says his wife, or his wife, well, I can't assume that, their wife looks at their keyboards and gives up. Ortho with Colmac. The ortho doesn't bother her. Well, that's always good. My wife looks at my keyboards and says, okay, and that's about it. Alright, so let's drop that in, and there we go. Now there's actually two mounting points over here, so maybe I should check. Oh gosh. Is there? No, there's only one screw hole there. Okay. So I'm not. Oh, they're LEDs, right? Yep. Okay. So this is where it gets a little bit weird because I've got this. What are these? What are these? I don't understand why those are there. What are you meant to do with those? These I can understand because there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, right? So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's 6, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so that top one is just also LEDs. So I'm not sure what that one is for, but we will leave those for now. Red herring. It's to throw me off and extend the video length. Probably goes between the plate and the PCB. For what? Like, that doesn't make sense. Let's go with that size. Or, well, actually, let's just get that out and see how that fits. I have like a little ceramic thing that I use to put my screw bits into. Here we go. It's a little sauce thing that I use. Ceramic, so I can put like modeling compound into it and microwave it to soften it. Okay, so they're magnetic, which is nice, and that's a good fit. Seriously? Seriously? Can someone see the problem here? You're supposed to put the screws through the PCB first. Sorry, yeah, you're supposed to put the screws through and then... Who designed this shit? The screws don't fit through the holes. Like... What? The head of the screw is bigger than the hole, which I can fit the screwdriver through, but I can't fit the head through. But then... Are these longer ones gonna fit and actually... Well, the short ones don't. Okay, the short ones don't fit through. Right. Maybe the long ones might, but the short ones don't. So this packet has what seems to be longer ones, which I'll try next. Okay, but tell me, what is that screw going to do? Doesn't even reach the PCB, let alone get through it to your mounting points. Right? So that one's a bust. So I don't know what those screws are for. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, those 6 screws, I don't know what the heck they're for. So I'm just going to put them back in the packet so I don't lose them. Like this is doing my head in. These miscellaneous screws. I don't know what's going on there. These ones are longer, so maybe these ones will have a choice. Tighten the case on the sides. What? Case on what sides? All right. So there's one of these longer screws. So the first thing is, it does make it through. But it doesn't make it through the PCB. Okay, so once again, the head's too big to make it through the plate, but it doesn't make it through the PCB. So you can slide two of them in and they would do the job in holding that, but what's the point of these other mounts? What are you supposed to do? Like, you need longer screws than these, or the size of these holes need to be bigger. The only way that would work is if you dropped the screws in through those holes first and then you reached through. I'm stumped. Like, I could try and maybe feed it through there and somehow nudge it so it falls in through the hole and then put the screwdriver through there, but like, the look of my face is a man who is almost defeated by this. But like, holy crap. Pardon the language, but I don't know what in the dickens they were thinking when they put this together. Like, mitenolet, I apologize if this board is gonna be like a horrible thing, because this is just, it's mind-blowing. Okay, so let's experiment. Will this fit in between? Whoa. Okay, so that screw definitely does, but can I nudge it in to fit in that hole? I can't do it with the screwdriver because the screwdriver is magnetic. I swear this is not what you're supposed to do with this thing, but it's the only thing I can think of that would work. Will it even fit? It does! Oh! I don't know how I'm going to do it on these other ones, but I've managed to put the screw through the side between the plate and the PCB, and then I've nudged it to fit in the hole, and it protrudes! If this was like an idea of a joke to somebody, they'd probably be like cracking up at this, because they'd be like, I got you. But I am not somebody easily defeated. Defeatable? Yes. Easily, not 100%. Just partially defeatable. Oh my gosh. I don't have the right lighting to do this properly. Oh my gosh. Uh-oh. It's gone down. It's gone down a side channel. I feel like just getting a bit and routing these holes bigger so that it would fit. But I don't want to do that, because I've got a drill and I'm sure I could find a bit that would be big enough to do that. But I really don't want to. Holy crikes. This is like next level crazy. If I can get this one in to this hole, then I will be happy. It's like playing Operation with screws. With like zero depth. You know what's even worse? The screws are like the perfect gap between switches and they want to get stuck. Just like this one. You bastard. Alright, come on. Get in there. You know you want to. No! Alright. So the edge of that screw is in the hole. I just gotta encourage the rest of it to get in the hole. I feel like Happy Gilmore when he's like talking to that golf ball that won't go in when he's putting. It's just like, get in the hole. It's your home. Are you too good for your home? That is what I'm feeling right now trying to do this. Come on. No. Oh, no. Why are you doing this to me? Ah! No, that's it. I'm chucking it in. There's going to be one screw here, and then it's going to be these two side screws because I can slot them in, and that's it. Like, I'm so done. Oh my gosh! I'm just gonna have to tell mitenolet, you're on your own. I'm like, I'm not one to get angry, but it's just the return on this is not worthwhile. He might invest in some longer screws maybe if he wants to be able to. Oi, stay in. That's the problem with using a magnetic screwdriver also. Alright, so that needs to stay on that side while I feed the other one into. Because of course, naturally, because they're both open slots on both sides, they just want to fall out. Okay. Now I'm going to get the USB in. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. That doesn't feel right. Let's try this side. There we go. Okay, not too tight. Just right. Oh. Well, it doesn't fall out and it doesn't move, but it's only held in by 3 screws instead of 6. That's just a journey of horrors right there. It's just a full on. Well, it's built. It's done. Now I'm going to plug it in and see what kind of bloody chaos is going to come from that. Okay, let's put that away because I ain't unscrewing that. Right, let's put that away. Okay, that it is a mini B. Let's check my mini B is still plugged in. So just discovered there's a 3rd packet of screws. And these have very long screws in them. 4 of them. You know what? It's Christmas. It's the time for giving. And I'm giving you guys a good laugh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out these 2 side ones and this one here. I'll leave the side ones kind of in place, but that one can now come out. I hope so.
Good morning, Daddy.
Good morning. Oh, it's a little bit late for morning, but hello, Arietti. Good morning. Do you wanna say hello to people? I don't know where that other screw went. So there's one. So 1 screw came out. There's 2 screws. Whoa! Don't steal that. Okay. Do you want to come up and say hello? No? Yes? Do you want to be on the stream? No. No? Okay. Well, there we go. 3 screws are out. All right. So my friend Chokan here says he hasn't heard you speak. Does Arietti talk? Yeah? Do you want to come up?
No.
No? Well, do you want to say hello? Do you like pressing that? Do you want to talk louder so they can hear you?
Arietti, are you hungry? Want to come eat something?
Do you want to eat something? Did you and Mummy get some lunch today?
Daddy, come eat something.
Come eat something. I'll be out very soon, okay? Daddy, you need to wash your hands now that you've touched Daddy's hands. Very soon, okay? Daddy has to finish doing this, and then I'll come out and eat, okay? But can you ask Mummy to wash your hands because you've been touching my table? Okay?
Well, we have to wash our hands anyway, okay? Because we've been outside. Not here. Oh, you mean over there? Okay. All right. We'll wash our hands.
Yes, we're back to toddler things. So she knows that to wash hands, like she can either get her hands washed in the bathroom or she can get her hands washed in the kitchen. It's usually like, you know, whatever's closest that makes sense to us. Like if she's going to have dinner or eat food and it's out there, she'll have her hands washed in the kitchen. But she's kind of made the association that when you wash your hands for food, it's in the kitchen, as opposed to washing your hands in the bathroom, which is like, you know, after if you've been to the toilet or if she's come for playing and stuff like that. Yeah. All right, so these are longer screws. All right, so we have we have 4 much longer screws, and then we have some more of the weird screws, and I still don't know what's up with these nuts, because like, what are you securing? What are you securing? So let's just pick up one of these longer screws and see what kind of depth we're going to get. Okay, so we do get sufficient penetration on those, which is good, which is exactly what we're after. Arioti, be careful. Okay, are you sure you don't want to come up? Okay, if you're going to touch these again, you're going to have to wash your hands again. Okay, so if you want to watch, you can, but just be careful, okay? Because Daddy's been soldering, and that's why Mummy took you out for a walk, so that you wouldn't come in here and get too, you know, covered in things. So I'm going to drop these in through the sides. Are these all the same size? I think so. Okay, so let's drop these in through the sides again. If I can get that to stay successfully. Let's bring the case back up. Tell you what, this is an absolute ordeal. Not for the faint-hearted. And the best part about me doing this on a stream as well is, for those who are thinking about getting this kit, if you check out this stream or this video going into the future, you will know the pitfalls. Dum dum dum. Okay, so they're in. Let's make sure that fits. Cycle it. Okay, this side. Okay, so that's just finger tight. Finger tight. Please tell me. No. Well, this one sits right, so that one reaches. Is there no screw mount over there? There must be no screw mount over there. Alright. There's no screw mount there. There's no screw mount there. There's no screw. What is going on? I've now got longer screws, but they don't touch the mounts underneath. This is getting ridiculous. There's no purchase on that at all. They're not. It's like literally these long screws are designed for only these 3 points. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm going to, no, you know what? I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that because there's no value in putting these long screws over the top here. And I already saw before that will not fall out. It's solid. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Like, I'm not going to mess with those screws anymore. Any 60% hot swap PCBs you would recommend? Hi Yari. I don't know a lot of the hot swap PCBs out at the moment. The only one that I'm aware of is the one-up keyboard HS60. I know that their first run of that had some problems because components were actually coming off that, but I believe that was a QC issue in the factory which they should have resolved or been working to resolve, so hopefully that gets fixed. Other than that, yeah, I'm not very up to date with hot swaps because I prefer to solder switches in. So if the others who are actually still hanging around in the chat can give you recommendations, then that would probably be more helpful. Now, you would think that the build is over, but it's not. It's nearly over. Much to, I'm sure, the detriment of my daughter, who is probably eating now because my wife is doing an amazing job in managing her. I have a key set to put on. Now, I am not familiar with what an XD75 fill rate is, so look at that. I almost tried to type on this again. Let me have a look at what a standard layout would be on an XD75 type layout for keycaps. Right, okay, so Dollars has provided some information about what should be happening with that those kits. So there's an acrylic diffuser version with a bent metal case, which is meant to hold a whole bunch of stuff. So that would actually make perfect sense. But it's still weird though in the number of holes and screws that is actually connected. Okay, so I've just plugged that in. Let's see if, so I'm just going to clear that, if switch hitter. So that cable is plugged in, but nothing's happening with the keyboard. Okay, there we go. I just had to plug it in a bit firmer. Right, there we go. Okay, so let us cycle on to the right hand side. All right, so let's just clear that. So we have escape, one num row. Wow, okay. What is 6, 7, 8, and then it's split. It's, what is going on here? That is, what? Okay, there's something. Wow. So that's actually shorting both of those. Enter is there. This PCB's got, it's sticking. Spacebar is there. Spacebar is there. You got arrow keys in the middle. What is this default layout? So from what I'm seeing here, this is not a standard ortho layout. It's some kind of split hand layout by the looks of it, which is fine as long as you know what the heck you're doing with it. But where is, so that should be P. There we go. So I don't know why that is activating both. Whoop. Okay, so that connection is not very good. Wow, it's this. So I've definitely got stuff happening, and things are working for most part. I'm missing insert somewhere. Yeah, I'm missing insert. But that's not really unusual. But my biggest concern is why that one is activating both. The problem is I'm kind of confident about my soldering. So it could be a problem with the actual PCB. And even though I said I wasn't gonna open this stupid case again, I'm gonna have to open this stupid case. I don't even know what's for lunch, and but whatever it is, I don't want to have to go out and have lunch and have to come back and deal with this. And of course, we're still streaming. It's alright, my wife won't kill me too much. Didn't buy anything? Oh, she's just having cookies. Okay, you just went for a walk to the park? Okay, right.
The chicken place is open.
The newsagent wasn't open?
The newsagent wasn't. The Assad is.
Okay.
And the Lebanese grocers.
Lebanese grocers?
Yeah, as in, yeah, Altaz's open.
Right. Well, what do you want to do for lunch? I mean, it's only 12:30 now, so it's not a big deal. We got leftovers anyway, so let's take the keyboard out. Try and not lose those two short screws. So short screw 1, short screw 2, alright, and then long screw. Okay, so see how there's these extra mount points? No, you can't see because I'm still on the right hand screen. I'm really losing it today, aren't I? Alright, let's go. Okay. So these mount points, the screws don't reach them. Screws are only reaching that for some reason. I don't know why. I don't understand. Okay, so the P is shorting out the trace below. So it was one of these keys. So let's just plug that back in. Okay, and then so look at that, it's got underglow happening, but the underglow is not even going to be visible inside this case. So let's clear my Elite keyboards and let's go. That's O, that's P. P by itself is fine now. Oh, surely not. That's O, that's P. No, but that doesn't make sense. Just thinking, is it contacting? It's not shorting now. That doesn't even make sense. I just had the thought that when it was mounted in the case, yeah, as Victor is saying, is the case shorting out contacts somewhere that's causing them to connect? But the solder height's fine. Like it's not excessively high or anything of that. But resting it on the screw thing, it's not even. Wait. Okay. Look at where the screw hole is. There's the hole. There's the mount point. They're not even in the same bloody hole. That's why it doesn't fit. And neither is that one. And that one sits right underneath. Son of a... Alright, so this hole is also in the wrong place. So let's just do that one. Hey, Henry. Let's put a bit of tape over that one, because we know that nothing fits in that one either. Okay, so let's try this again. Now we're going to use the long screws. And you know what, before I do that, now that that's actually in, I should probably test it. So only no matter how I flip it, would that work? Right, okay, so those holes are for the diffuser. Yeah, okay. Because if I flip that one, that doesn't line up with that either. Yeah, no. So these standoffs are like for a different PCB. That's really what it is. Those standoffs have to be for a different PCB design. So that's the only thing that could be for. They've basically just used the same case for a different PCB, and obviously there's no instructions or details. And Jolly Green Giant, I am like, I ain't doing anything else with this. Okay, so the shorting is gone, which is great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those screws in. So there's only 4 screws holding this now, which is perfectly fine. I'm just going to run the long screws through. And then I'm going to put these keycaps on, and then I am going to call it Christmas Day. Because that's as far as it's going to go. Yeah, it's probably for a standard 60, like a GH60 type of arrangement. It's just that wasn't a good setup. You know what? It's not even 4 screws that are holding this on, right? It's only 3 screws that are holding it on. Okay. You can see that RGB underglow as well. It's just, it's very sad underglow because you can barely see it through that. It's very sad. It's very sad. And I don't think there's a mount point down here, is there? No. Right. That's it. That's as much case mounting as this bad boy's gonna get. This keyboard's been very naughty. Holy smokes, this thing has tested my patience. Hey Lane Waste, thanks very much for swinging by. I don't know if you were in here earlier or not, or if you've sort of just come in, but regardless, it's great to see you. And I think we've actually had a lot more people turn up. Yeah, we're up to 11 people watching now, which is, you know, 25% more than like the last hour or so, which is all well and good. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so Merry Christmas and all that jazz. Happy Festival to those people who've been able to make it. Happy Festivus. You've just got here, which is awesome. So thanks very much for checking out the stream. Now, I'm going to switch over back to Switch Tester so I can actually find where these keycaps go. And these are cap crackers, but I've been told to put these on. So this is what he's asking to put on, which means Yeah. If they break the caps, I am not responsible. Now, where did I find tilde before? Because I don't know where it went. I swear we had tilde before. I just don't know where it is. Oh, there's tilde. Right. Nagolski, not a problem. It's always good fun to do streams. No, it's not shift escape. It's just, this is a split ortho layout. So it will have rows of stuff in between. Like, see how all of that kind of home stuff is all down there? Let's have, what's that showing? The default layout. Okay. Let's see if I can copy that link address and check that out. Paste and go. Right. Okay. So thank you very much for showing that, Dolus. I really appreciate that because that'll speed things up as I put stuff on. What I'll do is I'll unplug that then, and then I should be able to get that rolling. Okay, so I'm just going to put it as default layout because it's just easier that way. These foam things are great to hold keycaps in, but they're a real pain to get keycaps out of. I can tell you that right now, it's a real pain. A lot of space-bars. Yeah, there's 4 spacebar keys there. Obviously, you'll have to remap them. Okay, so I'm hearing a noise when I'm putting these on. I don't know if it's like the keycap. No, it's aluminium. Okay. I was kind of concerned that it was the caps stretching and cracking. They still might be, but it's actually the aluminium grinding against the aluminium on the case, I believe. It's a bit hard to hear a little bit because the fan's going. Alright, well I'm going to discover if these caps are cracked or not. Because I stuffed that up and I was short by like 1 spot. I'm not having a good stream, am I, folks? Making all sorts of bad mistakes. So this is a DSA of some kind. I don't know what it was. It was also a KP Republic set. He just provided me with this with it. So that's what the box. It just says the keycap, and on the side it's got, I don't know. Well, I know it's Chinese, but I don't know what it says. Oi. It fails to focus on it. There we go. So whatever that is. Hey, Choice Lamb, is that you, the owner of this board? Because if it is, have I got some news for you? We are at the end of an epic journey. You're Richard? Okay, so not the owner of this board. Well, Richard, welcome. Welcome to the board. A podcast series on mechanical keyboards by the mechanical keyboard community. Proudly brought to you by Patreon. Yeah, it's still going because I ended up building 2 keyboards in this stream, didn't I, folks, who stayed here for the entire time? We got to unbox and check out my Secret Santa, which was absolutely amazing, and we put that together. And then we got to check out how much frustration and grey hairs Don potentially got from putting together this kit. I don't want to be rude about this kit, but if you are new to the game, you could probably build this kit without any fuss because you have no preconceptions. If you are an experienced builder and you've never built an ortho and you didn't get provided a lot of background information from the kit, okay, because I could have Googled this, right? But as a straight out of the box kind of deal, I struggled because it didn't have much instruction or build kit with it. And having been relatively experienced in building standard keyboards and not ortho builds, or a KP Republic set, I think I ran into trouble because I made assumptions that were obviously incorrect. So it's good to know, isn't it? Okay. M and N. Okay. Next colon there. Now there is that. And there's that. Got that. Came back from Warragamba. Nice. What were you doing out at Warragamba? It's not really the most common of places people have a tendency to go to. That said, the water level at Warragamba is probably not too bad right now after all those rains that we've had. Page down. Checking water levels. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Do you work for Sydney Water or something like that? I used to go out to YiHua Dam quite a bit when I was in school because we would have our rowing regattas at YiHua Dam. And yeah, that was always multiple hours of sitting in a bus trying to get hyped and stay energetic about competition rowing, but always a challenge. Okay, so there's a shift. So they're all function keys there. What? Did they just screw the set? I feel like they screwed the set. There's no caps lock. Or is that? Okay, so I think that must be caps lock. That's got to be caps lock. No, that's probably tab. Okay. Okay, so that's probably tab, because that makes sense as tab. Alright, so we've got control and control. I don't know what my neighbours downstairs are doing. So there's one control, and there's control. Then I've got a right shift, which is a completely different colour. And then I have a function, and function. Well, actually, let's use the same function. Everything in here is ortho. So everything in this kit, size-wise, are one use. So I don't know why it wouldn't be a proper set.
I hit my knee and my hand.
You hurt your knees and your hand? Oh, what did you do? How did you hurt your knees?
The ground.
You hurt it on the ground?
Yeah.
Oh, well that's not very nice, is it? What were you doing on the ground?
She tripped on the pavement.
You tripped on the pavement. Did you skin your knee?
Not really.
No? Oh. Too late to skin your knee. Okay, so this is all the stuff that I've got standard to the layout, right? And I'll just show you what's left over. So there's 4 blanks. There's the numpad, which is fine. There is print, scroll, pause, insert, which are not part of the standard layout. Then you've got an extra one of those. So I've got 2 pipes. Why do I have 2 pipes? Okay, so you've got additional plus and minus. You've got another function key when you've already got 2 function keys. You've got 2 super keys, which is fine. And then you've got the F row. So there's no space bar, and it's missing the whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, good work. Good work. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. So I'm just gonna put these blanks into those just for completeness, because what else am I supposed to do? And then I don't even have, like, so the supers can go into the win key positions as you would kind of expect them, and then we're missing spacebars. So let's we'll put a random one there and random one there. I've still got a blank, and I'll put another minus there. So wow, like, this is a really badly thought out set, really, as a 1U, because it doesn't even have the standard stuff that you would expect it to have. Just blanks. More blanks required. Yes, it only came with 4 blanks, which is not enough. Yeah. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the XD75 is completed, but as we have just seen, the key set that was purchased to go with it isn't the best. It covers most of the board, but not everything. Of course, you'd have to get some additional blanks to match the colors to suit that. And we've seen that it's only, because of the case design, it's only mounted by 2 ends and 1 in the side as well. Other than that, it's okay. Like, it sounds great with the Jades in it. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. So what's happening here? The 4 blanks are meant to be the space bars, according to Dollars, unless if you have point of sale caps, or piece of caps from grab bags. And Jolly Green Giant is saying that the numpad is assumed as in the middle, I suppose, which is true. And the rest is meant to be the bottom row. So, but the default layout doesn't show that. So that, and why would you give me 2 pipe keys? Why would you give me 2 pipe keys? Now, like I do for completeness, let's just drop the mic down a little bit and just do a little bit of a typing sample. So this is a XD75 with a stainless steel plate, DSA keycaps with Capcracking Box Jades. Yeah, it's a Santa. I don't know if Santa looks just like me though, but
Daddy,
yeah.
it's a daddy one.
Is it a daddy one? Do you want to show everybody what that was? Yeah?
Hey, Dad.
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah? Who is that?
It's
that Santa?
Daddy.
Is that Daddy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Daddy doesn't have that many white hairs yet, but building this keyboard almost gave him some more. Crunchy is a good way of describing it. So, there you go. I actually don't know how much they paid for this off the top of my head, but look, if you know what you're doing with it, it works fine. There are some other things that I will have as part of the video that I did reviewing the kit before I built it, which will come out sort of in the next couple of weeks or so. So there we have it. Into the plastic it goes, and it's going to go back into its box. These are all the random bits that were left with it. Let's tuck that under the electrostatic bag into that channel of sorts. We'll put that as a layer. We'll put that on top. There we go. We'll put the foam on top to protect the keycaps. And it is done and dusted. Done and dusted. There we go. Okay, so that can go together. There's the extra switches. Let's find the rubber band. What a journey. What a journey. This has been an incredible build stream for Christmas. It was definitely not what I expected. It's probably not what anybody expected, to be honest. Okay, so the iron should be more than cooled off by now. Yep. Alright, so let's unplug that. And let's put the Hakko away as well. Let's have a look at what this link is that you've just put through. Yes, it is. It is that particular set. All 1U keys. So, because you see in that set, that's got the double pipe as well. Choice, well, Richard, using my hand to confirm, I had already unplugged it, so it'd been sitting out there while I was trying to put all the keycap sets on, and from experience, you know, I was pretty confident it wasn't going to be hot still. So I would preface that by saying, do not try this at home. If you're not experienced, then know about using your hands to touch an iron to find out if it's cool enough to pack away. But it won't give you a contact burn straight away if it was still warm. Let's just leave it at that. So Jolly Green's saying that it's normally a different colored pipe. I still don't know why you'd need a different colored pipe key, noting that, you know, you only need one. So what's the deal with that? I don't know. So you can match mods on the outsides, right? Okay, that makes sense then. Lay Waste is asking about 60% for first-time builder kits. So AliExpress, Taobao have some really cheap ones. They're usually unnamed, unbranded things. To sort of give you an indication about that, I bought a whole bunch of them for the Switch Tester Library concept. I bought 10 of them to be precise, and they're very cheap kits. They only cost me what? It was like 35 US or something per kit without switches and keycaps. So going by that, you know, you'd be able to get one to the door and build a kit probably for around definitely less than $100. Yeah, and that's quite affordable and very easy to build. There's really no sort of very complicated or challenging parts in that kind of build. Of course, if you don't know how to use Taobao, you can either ask people for help or you can go through a proxy. Yep, so as Henry says, KBD Fans also has some really affordable kits as well. Alright, so that is it. I think the stream is pretty much done. Everything that I wanted to achieve has been done. Yeah, so thank you very much, guys, for coming along and hanging out for the last 3.5 hours, for those who've actually been here the entire time and experiencing the roller coaster. And of course my daughter in the background's just calling for me for some reason, but she's playing with her plastic money at the moment. Yeah, of course, if you guys have any questions and whatnot, please just throw them my way. You can do that through email. You can do that through Reddit. There's my the thumbs have recovered. Thumbs have recovered. Kind of. It's kind of broken the skin a little bit in some spots there. Yeah. So no, thank you, no main bear. Thank you for coming along. I hope you had a bit of fun just watching and chilling out and listening to all my woes building these keyboards. So yeah, I'm going to go and have some lunch now. I hope the rest of you have, if it's Christmas Day already, a fantastic Christmas. Like I said at the start of the stream, for those who were actually here at that time, make sure you reach out to friends and family and check that they're okay. Enjoy yourselves, but don't drink in excess. Don't drink and drive. Don't act like a bloody idiot. And yeah, have a great New Year as well. For those who it's still New Year's Eve, I hope you have a fantastic Christmas tomorrow. And of course, if you don't celebrate Christmas, just go out and have a good time and do the things that you like doing, what you love doing with the people that you enjoy their company with as well. So there you have it. Look at all that rosin splatter that I'm cleaning off. Yes, you're back. Do you want to come up? No? Yes? You want to come up? Okay. Look at it. You want to say hello?
No.
Hello? You gonna wave hello to everybody up there? There's the camera.
Hello.
Oh, you got to be louder and talk into the microphone.
Hello.
Hello? Oh, well, they can hear you, but you can't hear them because they're not talking, okay? Do you want to say Merry Christmas?
Merry Christmas.
You got to be louder. Can you say Merry Christmas louder?
Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah. What did you get today?
Listen.
You got presents. Yeah. Okay. Richard says hello. Okay. You gonna say hello, Richard?
Hello, Richard.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're being a good girl today, hey? Yeah, they do grow pretty fast. Though not terribly tall. Or big, or heavy. So. Alright. Well, Daddy needs to clean up, and then Daddy will come out, okay? And then we can eat something together. Alright? Okay. There you go. Alright, guys, I'm going to finish cleaning up. Once again, thank you very much for checking out the stream. And of course, if you've come along today and you don't know, we do a podcast series as well. You can find us on the internet. Just look up the Board Podcast. We've also got an Instagram channel that I throw random pictures of stuff that I work on and projects and things like that as well. So, as usual, as I like to finish things off with, until next time, happy clacking. You want to say what?
Dad.
I don't know what you want to say.
I want to say that.
You want to say that? What do you want to say? You want to say bye-bye? Yeah? No?